Just reflect back your views, research-based one would think, positive, negative, and the challenges that we face as a nation going forward.
Well, just to start off with my current capacity, I'm working for an institute called the Multi-Level Governance Initiative, based at the University of the Western Cape. Mm-hmm. And in that capacity, really concerned about issues of governance. And we are looking back at doing the retrospective. And obviously, things are substantially better than they were in 1994. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Yeah. Services, water, political rights, gay rights, everything, a well-founded constitution.
Good story to tell then.
It's a good story to tell, with a caveat. Is the comparison to 94 our yardstick?
Yeah.
You know, is it sufficient to say we're doing better than we did under the apartheid regime? Many would typify the apartheid regime as a genocidal state that served actively to disenfranchise and undermine black people. Now, to say that we're doing so much better is a bit hollow.
Yeah.
So we really have to say, how well could we have expected to have done?
What are the ideals that we're striving for?
What are the ideals we're striving for? And also, there's another yardstick that we need to examine. Over this roughly the same period, Africa as a continent has made equally dramatic strides.
Yeah.
In 1994, South Africa was one of 3 middle-income African countries in sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Now, half of sub-Saharan African countries are middle income.
Yeah.
Water services.
And the outlook for the other half is quite good as well.
Well, at this stage, it actually looks a lot better than for South Africa. South Africa, in a sense, really drags down the GDP growth of sub-Saharan Africa. Zambia, Rwanda, whatever, are vibrant economies compared to us.
Yeah. Now, one thing that always pops up in polite conversation in South Africa, whether you're standing at the briar fire or whether you're sitting in your lounge having conversation with your friends, is crime and the criminal justice system. What does the research numbers say about this and where we are now with view of 20 years?
It's a very much similar story. The crime rate has dropped every year since approximately 1994. The drops have been most pronounced in several of the violent crime categories.
Yeah.
But that's a worldwide phenomenon. If you look at the UK last year, crime rates dropped 15%. So our expectation, yes, we would like our crime to drop. It is still high, but it's dropping virtually everywhere.
What do the numbers say? Is it a question of technology making crime fighting easier and making it difficult to be a criminal? Or is it a question of clamping down on criminals and criminal activity globally?
There are a number of explanations that have been forward, and some range from the lead content of petrol to some more rigorous studies.
Yeah.
And the more rigorous international comparisons indicate that the root cause of the drop in crime elsewhere has really been people's investment in their own security.
Yeah.
Whether it's vehicles or homes, there's
an all-round focus, really. What about the dissenting voices that we see in a country like South Africa now, both sides of the fence? And what do you read, and what does the numbers tell us about things like service delivery protests, for instance?
That is probably the field that we should be most worried about. Service delivery protests have been on a gradual increase for quite a while now. And we need to really get past the normal explanations that we present for the wrongs of South Africa. Whether it's crime or protest, we normally say the root cause is really inequality or poverty.
What about health and the quality of life of the general populace?
During the post-1994, we've actually had a really mixed experience. For the first 5 years, the first 10 years, the life expectancy of South Africa dropped markedly, most primarily due to the HIV/AIDS pandemic. But with the new administration, that reversal has been turned around, and we are living longer, we're living better, we are living healthier. So we have had major strides in the last 7-8 years in terms of health.
Finally, you touched on the economy a little bit, but briefly just touch on it. Where do we sit 20 years on? And when we look at our economic outlook, can we sort of climb on the coattails of the rest of Africa and ride through this little tough patch that we're going through?
We've got no reason really to think why anything should be different in the future. The African growth is really going ahead irrespective of our role.
Yeah.
We need to really be worried about what our future is. The economy is growing, but if it's growing without jobs, that growth is going to be undermined by service delivery protests, unemployment rates, and the like.
So in conclusion, you're saying to us, our country, after 20 years, yes, has a good story to tell. But like everywhere else in the world, you should always look at the red flags that are out there.
It reminds me of a quote that I was looking up yesterday, and it says that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. We've got to keep working away at it.
Fantastic. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to keep that one with me. Eternal vigilance.
Eternal vigilance.
That's the price of freedom. Thank you very much, Michael O'Donovan, who's a South African researcher who's worked extensively in the field of applied social research. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.